Hey, welcome back to the Successful Lead Generating Coaches Show. My name is Arfon, or Grow, Automate, Scale. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about should you spend money on Facebook ads? Now, it's obviously a pretty simple question. You kind of already would guess what I'm going to answer. But I'm also going to talk about how you should spend money on Facebook ads, because I believe that's also an equally important question, is because, yes, you should spend money on Facebook ads, especially when you are in the part of your business where you're growing. Okay. When you first start off, typically in your coaching business, you are going to be putting out organic content, doing a lot of personal reach outs, working with people in a one-on-one capacity, and you start making some money. In the coaching world, it's very easy to start making money, especially when you're charging high ticket. The money flow cannot be a big issue, but what can be a big issue is the lead flow after you've already tapped into that initial audience and you're not really seeing the audience grow consistently anymore. And that can be a pretty big problem. Okay. So, should you spend money on Facebook ads? Yes, absolutely. You should spend it. And I think it's probably a bigger question in terms of looking at your business as a whole. And do you have money to spend on advertising? Or forget Facebook, forget Instagram, forget, it doesn't matter. Do you have money to spend on advertising, period? And this is where most companies, they always have a marketing budget. Okay. Part of your regular operating expenses is you have a marketing budget. Even if you're doing things organically, you may have a marketing budget that you're gonna spend on things related to marketing, whether it's buying templates you can use for your organic content, um, getting access to different copywriting templates or different copywriting tools, maybe. Okay. So you're spending money in your marketing somehow, typically. Now, when it comes to advertising, this is where a lot of people sometimes they can get a little confused because, marketing consists of everything you have organically and everything you have to paid advertising. And when we're looking at, okay, well, I have a marketing budget, how much of that is going to go to advertising? And only you can truly determine that. And often you can always start off with a percentage and you can increase and decrease as your business ebbs and flows. But typically you want to have some sort of budget that you can start using the Facebook ads, especially when you start seeing that traction, start seeing that growth. If you're doing something, you get a monthly recurring revenue, and now you're working with clients and your time that you had where you were doing things organically, now you don't have that as much anymore, and you're working with clients, and now you start seeing the time in your day being less and less and less. So what ends up happening is that you can start sacrificing very important time that you may be spending time with your children or actually taking time to cook a healthy meal, and these things start going on the back burner. I see it time and time again, and it can lead a lot of coaches to burnout because now they're just in this hamster wheel of like they have to now show up organically to keep the lead flow going, to keep the DM conversations going while working with their clients. And what ends up happening is that the reason we started an online business, often for time freedom, ends up not happening. We end up becoming, our time is actually totally taken up, and it can be a pretty big way to get to burnout very, very quickly. Okay. So, yes, you should be spending money on Facebook ads, in my personal opinion, and based off of just my knowledge of advertising and my knowledge of marketing. And so, how should you spend your money on Facebook ads? Where are the ways to do this? Okay. So, I do not recommend boosting a post unless you're going to actually boost it through the Facebook Ads Manager on the computer, because you're going to get a lot more control for the audiences you're going to use for that. And then you're not really boosting at that point. What ends up happening is that a boosted post is technically like an engagement post, or it could be like a conversion for like messaging or something like that. And when you set it up through the app, you have limited options compared to if you set it up on the actual computer. So when you set up on a computer, you get more options for targeting, for being able to read the data and see what's working, what's not working. So little caveat there, I can go on a rant on that because so many people are just like, oh, I boost posts, and nothing happens. Well, yeah, that's been a lot of people's experience. Like 2% of people I've ever talked to is like, yeah, I boosted posts and I got great results. And I was like, what was your result? People commented on my thing and they had a mini chat bot, so I was like, that's great. You had a very intentional type of post. And when people commenting and you run the many chat or the bot to start that conversation, and then you lead them into a paying client, that's awesome. Absolutely want to go ahead and do that. And even better ways to do that same strategy, but actually set it up through the ads manager. using different audiences, you're gonna be able to get a lot of data back as far as like which is actually performing better, and that's where you start putting your money in there. So how you should spend it on Facebook ads, number one is to use it for messaging testing, meaning that you can use this for engagement. It's a very low hanging fruit type of ad. And engagement typically will just use your existing posts you have. And what this does is allows you to take something that's valuable content, right? Maybe you have like 4 or 5 different type of content you're putting out where you're doing some thought reversal, some personal stories, client testimonials, really just instilling a new belief in your audience so that way they can have a better understanding of the work you do. And when you do this, you're able to actually see which your audience is responding to. You can be able to see the click-through rates, which one are they clicking through, which ones are they engaging me, are they liking the post, which ones actually leads to people following you, and more importantly, lead to him having a conversation. And then next thing is lead to actually them becoming a actual lead in your business, right? This is where you start seeing traction. So testing the messaging. Number two is also testing your lead generation. Okay. So this is something where often we will start our business, create our website, and we're going to have some sort of freebie. And we create a freebie based off of our market research. Hopefully, you did the market research and you have an idea of what your freebie should be. So when you have this freebie, now you want to be able to test like, hey, is this something that's actually going to appeal to the masses, meaning the mass market, everybody as a whole? If you had 1,000 people in the room that's your ideal client, and you say, hey, sign up for my freebie, are people going to say yes? Are we going to get 1,000 people to say yes, or is it going to be 100 or 50 or what the case is? So this is where you want to be able to test it. And this is something where over time, it's really great to have maybe, 1 to 3 really good lead magnets that you can be able to test, or at least ideas of a lead magnet you can test. And I'm very much for a MVP approach, a minimally viable approach. So MVP, most valuable player, but in the marketing world, MVP for us stands for minimally viable product. Basically, this is the product that comes out as functional, it's usable, it's good. However, it's not all bells and whistles. We don't have all the bells and whistles. So, for example, it's like you may not have a freebie that has a thank you page with a whole video and a low ticket offer or leading to a call with a calendar and an entire 18 series email already attached to it, because we're trying to see what is actually going to give us some traction. If I put up 3 different lead magnets, I'm going to see 3 different costs per lead. I'm going to see which one's going to be attracting more people. And when we start getting this traction, that's when we start moving quickly and we're like, all right, let me optimize this. Optimizing doesn't mean optimizing only the ad. Optimizing also means optimizing the user experience, to try different videos on a thank you page. What's going to get people to book a call? What's going to get people to actually, if it's a live event, sign up for the live event to put it in a calendar? Or if you're selling, like, let's say you have something as a low ticket product, you have a $47 course, a $27 a book, or a mini course or something like that. Having these type of offers on your thank you page, and then having some sort of video or something like that where you sell it, and being able to now, as you're generating leads, to look at the data in real time and making tweaks and adjustments so that way you can convert it. One of my first funnels I ever ran, and I had to test it a few times, but it was a simple guide on how to create effective Facebook ads. And on that back end, I had a little short series of videos that also showed how to really, like, out of the guide, how to actually do it on, how to go on Canva and how to like create the graphics and how to actually set it up. So it was something I tested. I put on the back end, put it for 27, and out of like 200 leads, one person bought. I was like, all right, that's price maybe. Let me adjust it. So I adjusted the price, 17. Same thing as well. It was very, low conversion rate. So I was like, all right, let me drop it down even more. So I dropped it to $7, and I still saw it was kind of a low conversion rate. And then I was like, okay, maybe it's not the price. Let me go ahead and just change my video up. And I kid you not, I recorded 4 different videos and I tested them. About every 75 to 100 leads, I would change a video. And I had a video I recorded. It was like 7 p.m. at night. It just kind of came to me to record it. I had a shirt that was wrinkly. And for whatever reason, all of a sudden I had a 10% plus conversion rate on that offer. And it just shows, like, you got to be able to tweak and you got to be able to optimize it. Okay. So that's something that, how you spend your money is to make sure you're testing and tweaking the different, or no, I'm sorry, testing the different offers you have to where you can see what your audience is responding to, because only your audience can tell you exactly what they want, and they tell you what they want with their actions. When they're actually taking out their credit card and buying, that's when you know for sure, hey, this is what they want and they need. So That's part of the process. The second thing from that is I also have to analyze my emails and things like that to be able to sell a low ticket course ahead of the time. So it's something that you want to say when you're spending money on Facebook ads, a lot of it is going to go to testing. And then once you have that established, once you test it, now you say, okay, I have a good idea what my audience want. And I do know what's working now. This is where you can moving into further optimizing of your actual ad by now testing different audiences too as well. So now I know I have an opt-in that's converting. Let me test different audience. How can I get a higher conversion rate on a different audience? And then I go into scaling. Can I now increase my budget? Am I going to go from $20 a day to $30 a day? As you can imagine, this process is not like a 1, 2, 3 day type of thing. This process happens over months. Okay, over weeks. And this is where it's great to have a team, especially if you have, if you have enough income coming in to where you can hire a team and pay for someone to manage the ads and also pay ads, ad spend consistently. That's great. If you're doing it yourself, you also want to go about it strategically. That way, you know exactly what you're doing when you're setting up the ads. You know what to look for when you're about to scale or test or tweak something. Right? It's very important to have at least a little plan in place, because if you're just kind of haphazardly going at it and you're not really thoughtfully like planning out your testing and planning out your tweak and optimization, if you just look at it today on a Monday and then do nothing else at all, having no intentions of like, am I going to do a different video? Am I going to be looking at my conversion rate on my low ticket offer, or looking at my conversion rate for my book call? And you go on a Monday, you're going to make some blind adjustments. You're not really going to know exactly what you're adjusting. Sometimes you don't have to even adjust the ads, but it's adjusting things on the back end. Is my landing page converting at a really good rate? If you're doing something for free, if you want a really good campaign, will typically have a landing page conversion rate of 50% plus. When I say really good, you can have a good campaign, 35% conversion rate, 30% conversion rate, okay, at like 20, 25% conversion rate, but a really good campaign is 50% plus. And I've seen offers convert over 60%. And this shows you that you have something that's really, really, appealing to the target audience. And now this is where the optimization come in. Your ads are good. You can probably just start scaling them up, but you don't want to start scaling them until you really have that back end now fleshed out. And that's where just part of the minimally viable process is that you now are going to be looking at, okay, I'm at $20 a day. I'm getting leads coming in, and I know this offer works. Now you want to start optimizing that back end to make sure that everything is honed in. Like if you have an email series, you have to flesh it out more, so that way your users having that incredible journey. And there's some coaches who promote like having it all planned out, having it all written up, and they, take 2, 3 months to do that, to build out this entire funnel. Then you go to run ads, and then boom, it's a flop. Like the ads aren't converting. It's like, well, the ads aren't converting. What really comes out to be is the offer is not converting. Um, and that is something where you do have to have good ads. It's important to test different type of ads, meaning that you have different styles of graphics and copy. And I'm going to do a different podcast or YouTube video later on where I actually go through the process of like the exact types of ad copy that you want to have. So these are all important parts of the advertising process that you want to be able to test, that you want to be able to know. And that is, I think, the best way of when you're thinking about if I should spend money on Facebook ads, of how you go about it. That the first part of it is really just collecting data. You want to know what's going to resonate with my audience, what's going to work. And then once you know that, you're able to make better decisions, whether you're going to do the evergreen route of generating leads automatically that are going to come in and convert to your funnel, or if you're going to go a live route. And I do recommend a combination of have 2 or 3 things that you do live every year. It could be a workshop, a master class, a training series, a webinar, and then you have something that's also going out automatically to where you're generating leads in between. And you can do lead generation on Facebook for like a little $5 a day, and it's effective. It takes longer. It's like you're not going to see fruits of that effort until maybe like months, or honestly, you know, maybe a year or so later, because it's a very slow trickle. but you can start off with these little strategies because what happened is that, well, do you have a small marketing budget that you can put towards ads? And if it's just $5 a day, that's totally cool. If you're not in a position to be able to afford that yet, that's also good too as well. There's already things you can do organically to start getting more traction in the business before you go into ads. And you definitely don't want to be going into ads with like a super amount of debt, meaning that you're going into debt to run ads thinking that this is going to be the holy grail of making it work, because you will go through some trial errors, some failures, some things that you have to learn to do. I've had clients where we start off their campaign and just right off the bat, everything is just like check mark, check mark, check mark, A plus, A plus. Everything is converting really good. They also just so happen to be naturally great at sales, and they have a really great offer, and everything is just smooth and works amazing. I have others where lead generation goes amazing, show up rate goes amazing, but on the webinar, they just were not really good at sales, really good at answering the questions, and no one converted, right? These are things that actually happen. And unfortunately, you can't go back and be like, oh, let me redo. No, you have to keep moving with it. Okay. So it's very important to understand how you're going to go into it and how should you spend the money on Facebook ads, because once you do it thoughtfully and strategically, you're able to scale faster. So it's less trial and error, is also less failures too as well when you go about it with either guidance or at least following a protocol that's been shown to prove for others too as well, right? We always want to make sure that we're going with our best foot forward, also with an experiment mentality, knowing that I'm gonna have to make changes. This is natural. I'm gonna have to make tweaks, and also understand that my ad is not going to run forever. Okay, you can have a great ad, it's going to be doing amazing, and then uh, 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months later, no longer is converting. The lead cost goes up. But that happens. Okay, whenever you're advertising to an audience, think of it like this: if you have 1,000 people in the audience, and 100 of them sign up for your lead magnet, and you're getting a cost of like $3. Now all of a sudden you're looking like, oh, my cost is $4 now. With that pool of audience, the people who would have converted for the lowest cost, like they already did. So now you have less and less of a pool. So this is where it's important to also make changes and tweaks and adjustments for testing different audiences, testing different creatives. So that way you're ahead of the curve, meaning that when an audience is underperforming now because it's been 2 3 months of advertising to them, you can be able to just flip a switch and just turn that one off and move on to another one that is converting. One of your goals in advertising should be to have about 6 to 12 working audiences. Okay. And the reason for this is because this allows for great scalability. But when you're starting, well, how do you get that? You have to test. And this is where the money is being spent, is on testing. But the testing is so amazing and so fruitful because once you know what's working, you're able to start scaling campaigns. You're able to start generating leads in autopilot, and you're able to create a machine that is bringing you in leads while you're working with your clients, while you are doing things you enjoy doing. And it takes off that pressure of having to be posting every day or just having a ton of DM conversations, right? So that is my thoughts, my opinion, and my experience with running Facebook ads. And I think this is one of the best things you can do. So if you're thinking about running ads, definitely you should be spending money on Facebook. Get a marketing budget established. Go about it testing correctly. And then once you get traction on what you're testing, that's when you can start optimizing and scaling and start getting really, really awesome results. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the show, share it with someone that you think might be helpful for them. And also, if you're ever looking for support, just go to rfonasane.com/start and let's book a call. Let's hop on a chat. It's a free strategy call. I can take a look at where you're at, what you're doing in your business, and I can tell you the best method to go forward, whether it's us helping you or something you're doing on your own, or even if you work with us in a capacity where I am helping and teaching you or your team members, all great. But it's a totally free strategy call, and we'd love to have you on there. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in today, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Have a great one.